All right, we're going to get going. So this is building your business. It's not a CE class. It's just kind of like a quicker, like, let's talk through what can I be doing. We started this class in Agent Basics because, we were teaching all the technical things like contracts, and agents were like, but what should I be doing right now? Right. And so that's what this class is. So what are our objectives for today? The first one is to kind of give you guys the foundation to build a tangible plan that you can execute consistently and build the real estate business you want to have. I think, when I got into real estate, I practiced law before at a law firm. And then when I transitioned to real estate, I was used to sitting at a desk from like 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And I was like, what am I supposed to be doing? And so if I had had a better plan and kind of like a way to arrange my day and execute, I think I could have been more successful faster. So that's the goal. And then, answer the question, what am I supposed to be doing right now? Right. Like I said, I transitioned out of law and was like, what should I be doing? Right. Because you don't have someone to do, you don't have deliverables specifically, like you're in charge of your own business. So this is building your business. We have a separate class that's coming up called managing your business. And it's more about like the business side of executing your business, since you're now the CFO, the CEO, the manager, the executor, you're all of the things for your own business. So that's a different class called managing your business. This is building your business, and it's really about growing your business and creating some leads and getting some deals going. So there's 3 main steps that you can take that will kind of get you going. And the first one I would say is to define your goals, right? Make a plan, define your goals. We're going to work on that a little bit today, just so that you're not like, okay, I'm here, I'm doing real estate. Like, where do I start? Right? Like, let's have some goals so we can shoot for something, and we may reach them and knock it out of the park. We may not quite reach them, and then we kind of have to adjust, but you need to have something you're aiming for. The next step is to create a marketing strategy and a plan. That doesn't mean you have to have like a bazillion dollars of a budget. It's just, what are the things that I'm going to be doing to promote myself and my skill set, so that I can, and to create value among my sphere, so that they think of me when they have a real estate need, or they know someone who has a real estate need. Now we have a whole other class that's led by our marketing department about actually creating a marketing strategy. And we're not going to do that class today, but we're just talking about making sure you do it. So the third step is, how do you kind of manage your time so that you can execute these steps? And again, like I said, when I showed up, I was like, used to just go all day, and it's a little bit different. So we're going to talk about that. So when we talk about, anyone have any questions before we get going? No. Okay. So when we talk about setting goals, we have to know, like, why are we here, right? Like, what is your why? Is it to make money and to pay bills? Is it to pay for your house? Is it just to have extra money to take your family on trips? Is it to pay for your kids to go to school? Is it to take care of your parents? Like, what is your why, right? Like, you have to think about why, because that's what motivates us, right? So then this is a slide, you guys, if you come to my classes, you're going to see it frequently, but it's important, I think. And it's basically a study of people in a work setting. This psychologist did this study, and she studied, like, I think it was like 267 individuals who in the workplace, and she divided them into the groups. And the first group, she just said, just think about what your goals are. And the second group, she said, write down what your goals are. And the third group, she didn't talk about goals. She just said, write down actions you're going to take in the next 4 weeks at work. And then in the fourth group, she said, write down your goals and tell a friend at work what your goals are. And then in the fifth group, she said, write down your goals, tell a friend what your goals are, and check in with them every week and let them know how you've done on your goals. And, unsurprisingly, the fifth group was the group that achieved the majority of their goals. And that's the group, that they wrote down their goals. They were checking in every week with their friend who they had told. So that's why we have this guaranteed goals coaching group that we do. And it's basically just a weekly accountability group. At the beginning of every quarter, we all pick a goal, we break it down into tactics, and then we meet every week to talk about it. It's just a little bit of accountability, but we found that it works for a handful of retreatment agents. We start those every quarter. This one ends on March 26th, and we'll start again in April. It's based off of the book, The 12-Week Year, which is an awesome book, but you don't have to read the book because we kind of walk through it ourselves. So I guess my point here is, don't just say, okay, I'm in real estate now, like, let's get some deals. Like, let's be intentional. It's like, okay, it's March. By the end of the year, I want to have done 4 deals, or I want to have closed 6 deals, or whatever that number is. Figure out for you what it is. Or it's like, I want to have my processes in place. That's a little bit hard to do when you don't have the business yet, but okay, so the importance of goal setting, you won't arrive at your destination if you don't know exactly where you want to go. So let's think about what that might look like for you guys. Does anyone know already what if they have like real estate related 2024 goals? I'm very big on talking about like our personal goals and our work goals because we don't live to work. Although it might feel like that sometimes. But we'll talk about just like work goals for today. Does anyone have work goals already that they have the kind of their eye on the prize? I'm not going to make you guys share, but it's better if you do. It might be like I just said, it might be like, okay, I want to do 6 deals before the end of the year, or I want to finish up your newly licensed. It's like, I want to get half of my SAE done, right? Because you need that 90 hours. So you may say, I want to get at least half of that done, or, I need to make 100 grand this year, or whatever it might be. Just figuring out what your goal is. It might be like, I don't have a written database now. I need to have a written database by June 1st or whatever your date is. I think figuring out what you're looking for is really important. I would say at Briggs Freeman, it's our hope that you guys are doing at least 5 million a year in sales and doing around 7 to 10 transactions. There's no requirement for that, but we want, full service career agents who really kind of know what they're doing and are very professional. So that's what we kind of think is like the minimum to get there. Of course, price points are different in every market. So the volume is not as significant as the transactions. So any questions about this? Does anyone, hopefully you guys have figured out what your goals are. We're going to talk through some of them. I think as an agent, if you're just getting started, I think working on your database is an important goal. Realtors live and die by their database. We're going to talk about this, but that's an important one, to figure out like, who are your people that you're going to get your business from, and who do you need to market down? Okay, so then my next point is write them down, right? If you've thought about what your goals are, write them down so that you can check in on them. Like I keep all of my goals every year at the beginning of the year. I'm holding up my phone. You can't see it. I put my goals in a note in my phone so that I could just look at it and see like, how am I doing? Did I totally forget about this goal? I check in with myself to see. So, okay, so what do you need to do to reach these goals? Obviously, you need to make a plan. So we're going to talk today about what that plan would look like. Any questions? No. Okay, so this is what we're going to talk through today, but I'm showing you kind of everything first. So what are the steps to the plan? Build and maintain a database. This is super important. If you are in real estate, but you don't have a database and you're not being intentional about your database, you're kind of just tripping over deals, I would say. You need to kind of have a database because that's where your business is going to come from the most part. That doesn't mean you have to they all have to be your best friends. It just has to be like people who are sources of business. We know people do business with people that they know, like, and trust. And so you need to have your list of who are those people.
Doreen, when you have one agent, I'm not talking about groups or couples, one agent, what's the average database number that successful agents have if you're by yourself?
That's a great question. So Ninja has a formula of if you have a certain income level and if you have a certain average price point and you have an amount of income you want to make, Ninja has like a formula for you to figure out like, how big does my database need to be if I need to make X amount and my average price point is this. It can get very formulaic. Obviously, we're not there yet. I mean, I think when you're just getting started, you have to build your database, right? I will tell you, I went to like a Texas networking event several years ago, and the topic was referral-based businesses, building a successful referral-based business, which I think most of our agents that have been in the business for a while have. Like at the beginning, you might be having to go out and get deals from open houses or, referrals from other agents. But once you've been in the business for a while, your business might be 80 to 90% referrals of past clients, because you just have your group of clients and friends that you're nurturing on who kind of send you referrals. Anyway, my point was at this panel, it was 5 top producers from around Sotheby's, and they were mega producers, and their databases ranged in size from 100 to 500. It was not like you need a 30,000 person database. You can't possibly thoughtfully connect with that many people. When we say database, we mean, obviously you might build email lists and like push out newsletters to like a large number. But at the end of the day, who are the people that are actually your fans, who are supporting you, who are referring to you? And I think generally the number that's realistic is probably 100 to 200. But these are of like true advocates and people that like have given you business or would give you business that you want to like thoughtfully love on. You want, if you have a client appreciation party, these are the people you want to invite. You might, you maybe don't want to give pies to 200 people, but over the course of the year, you might want to do something thoughtful for each of those people. You might want to do real estate reviews for them. You might want to give them a pie. You might want to give them a summer pot buy, like whatever, just being thoughtful for these people. So the number I would say is 100 to 200. Is different for everyone.
Okay.
That was a very long answer, but it's a good question because we have our like amazing newsletters and WeChat. And so I'm not saying you only need 100 people there, but don't stress out if you're just getting started and you only have like a list of 20 or 30, like start with your holiday card list or go through your phone, but building that database is important. We're about to talk about that. But to keep going through, learn the market, figure out which business activities make sense for me, learn the market and become a real estate expert, create a marketing plan, create a schedule, right? Because our day is like wide open. How do we get these things done? And then execute it consistently. So that's what we're going to walk through today. So you must have a database, and it does not need to be perfect. Like the database is the gorilla on every realtor's back if they've been in the business for a while and they haven't maintained it. So if you're just getting started, starting with an organized database is going to be like your wildest dream come true. I will tell you, I had to redo my database, not the beginning of this year, but at the beginning of last year, because I really, really wanted to lean into the WeChat campaigns. And I had like all these contacts in there, and I went in there and I sorted and I tagged people properly. And it's been like a game changer for me. One of my goals last year was to make 6 referrals, because I don't actively list and sell unless it's like my own personal deal, but I know all the best agents in every marketplace in DFW and beyond. And so I need to promote that more and help you guys get business. And, but organizing my database was the way to do that, so that I could like push information out to these people, like in a thoughtful way. So you have to have a database. It doesn't need to be perfect. WeChat is a great way to keep it. A spreadsheet, the good old fashioned spreadsheet, is a way to keep it. Start with your holiday card list and you can upload it into WeChat. If you need help with that, Sherry or Catherine can help you do it, but you just have to think about your people. Like I went into my database and I had like so many tags and they weren't working for me. So at the end of the day, I picked I think I have 5 main tags that I use consistently. The number one tag that I use is I tagged everyone campaign if I want them to receive the Briggs Freeman campaigns, because those are easy and awesome newsletters. And then I also tagged people global campaign. If there are people that don't live in the DFW marketplace, but I want them to receive, like every once in a while, we have a newsletter that's really cool and not like DFW specific. And I share that with like my people that live in Malibu and Oregon and Denver, so that they can also see, like remind them that like, oh, Zerreen works for Sotheby's and knows agents everywhere. Questions? Okay, so this is, I always say I'm a 2-trick pony, and this is one of the tricks, is doing your warm and hot list. So this is a ninja exercise. If you guys haven't been to Ninja, I highly, highly, highly recommend attending a Ninja installation. We're not hosting one this year, but what you can do is attend one in another marketplace that's sponsored by a Sotheby's, and use it as like a referral, use it as a networking event, because you will be the first person that everyone thinks of when they think of DFW, right? If you're in a different marketplace and you go and meet Sotheby's agents there. And it's just it's a great bonding experience. It's really super informative and helpful. And it's a great approach to business. If you have not read the book yet, I highly recommend reading the book, at least if you don't plan on attending an installation. The installations are usually, $900 to $1,000. And then you may have to travel to get there, but it's really valuable. It's a book called Ninja Selling by Larry Kendall. But one of the exercises in this book is called your warm and hot list. And I always tell agents who come to me and say their business is slow, this is a great thing to do to like stir up the dust and like create some activity. And basically, you keep a warm list and you keep a hot list, right? And your warm list is a list of people who might buy and sell. Your hot list is the people who you're actually working with, right? And you need to have that, you know, on a sticky on your laptop, in a note in your phones, that you're talking to these people probably every day because they're actively looking to do something. Your warm list is people who are probably going to buy and sell. They may not even know it yet, but based on their life situation, like if they may be ready to sell. And basically there's a exercise where you ask yourself 16 questions about this person. And if they check like, you know, more than 4 or 5 boxes, it means that they're likely to move. And you need to start like, you don't need to call them and be like, I think you might be moving this year, but you can just start making sure you're paying attention to them, right? Calling them, checking in on them, making sure they're getting your communications, things like that. Basically their life situation has changed and they might be a warm prospect. So it's a great exercise if you don't have anything going on and you need to like drum up the list. Every time I tell experienced agents to do this, if they're feeling frustrated and they go and they actually do it, they come up with something. So it's a great exercise. I'll email it to you guys after this class, but keep a warm list, keep a hot list, and figure out how you're going to keep track of that. So, then you also need to look at like, what are your business sources, right? Think of all the different places when you're building your database where you might get business from. And it's not going to be just industry people. Like I got a lot of business from my gym. When I used to go to EnduraLab, I got deals all the time. And it wasn't because I was like there talking about real estate, but I was showing up at 5 every morning, like as a responsible professional person. And then they'd see me in a magazine or what have you. And it just validated. So I got a lot of business from the gym. I have an agent who realized that she was getting a lot of business from the supper club she hosted once a month, and she was hosting it like for fun and because she liked to cook and host, but she realized that like a third of her business came from those people in the supper club, not necessarily that they were transacting, but that they were giving her referrals. So you just have to think about everywhere you are, you're your own walking billboard, right? So these are, you know, all potential sources for business. Some of them are actually marketing. Some of them are just being out and about, right? Like sitting at your kids' baseball game and talking to the parents there. So think about where your business sources are. It might be church, it might be book club, it might be, you know, chamber events, whatever works for you. So that's just something to think about. Okay, so we talked about building and maintaining a database. Now we're going to talk about which business activities make sense for you. In real estate, everyone has a different approach to business. When at the end of the year, you guys are all going to have different deals and the sources are all going to be different, right? Like some people buy Zillow leads, which I do not recommend. They're very expensive and like not everyone's good at converting them. Some people do a lot of open houses. Some people only do client appreciation events. Like you just have to figure out what makes sense for you. So these are kind of all the potential, not all the potential. This is a long list of potential. Take a look at this list and figure out like what here appeals to you. Focus on business activities for now, because marketing activities is something when you have a budget, you can kind of figure out what makes sense for you. And also if you have a meeting with Sherry or Catherine to talk about like marketing wise, what can you be doing? And again, there's a lot here at Briggs Freeman you can do marketing wise. It doesn't cost any money. Like the campaigns are awesome. They honestly have made a difference in my referral business, just organizing my database and pushing those out when they're ready. It's really easy. So I'm showing you this not to overwhelm you, but so that you can think about all of the things that might work for you, right? If you're a new agent, you're like, am I good at open houses? Do I like open houses? There's agents who have built their whole business on open houses. Real estate reviews is another ninja practice where you basically prepare like a market update for someone and you ask to sit down with them, just have coffee, and then you give it to them. You say, hey, I just wanted you to have this so you could see what's happening in your neighborhood. And it's not a CMA, you're not giving them a value, but you're basically saying like, these are all the properties around you that have sold. Because you know, when you drive by a house and you see a sign and then the sign's gone, you're like, did it sell? What did it sell for? So this is just a yearly way to update your people on like what's sold around them. So it doesn't take a lot of time to prepare. It should take 10 or 15 minutes to prepare. We have a whole class on real estate reviews. There's a lot of good stuff in the Success Center, but like that might be a good part of your business. Just figure out what are you going to try to do to like drum up some business. Does anyone have questions about this? So there's just business activities that you should be undertaking. And then, you know, marketing activities too. You don't have to have a huge budget, but there's certain things you can kind of lean into to get started, to put it out there. You can't be a in secret realtor, right? People have to know what you're doing now. So, okay. So then, the next one is learn the market and become a real estate expert. This one is really, really, really important because now that you're positioning yourself in real estate and as an agent with Briggs Freeman Sotheby's, like people are going to ask you, how's the market, right? And you have to be really, really careful that you're not just giving like answers that end the conversation, right? You don't want to say, oh, it's busy, or like, oh, I'm so good, or, you know, I don't know, or it's weird, or doing great. Like, you don't want to, you want to, if someone asks you, they want to know like what's going on. So, but these are not great answers. And you kind of have to figure out what are they trying to get at, right? You're going to be asked this question many, many times. Like as agents, I can't see a lot of you guys, but I'm sure everyone on this call has been asked this question now that people know that you're in real estate, right? So you have to educate yourself and be knowledgeable. So when people hear you respond, they're like, oh, like this person knows what they're talking about, right? Like if you're going to a cocktail party or a holiday party or whatever, like you should know what sold around there recently so that people ask, you're aware, right? You just have to be intentional about being an expert. People always ask, you know, what's a good answer, right? And there's different ways, different approaches. What Larry Kendall, who wrote Ninja, I heard him say one time, ask people like, well, what are you hearing? Because sometimes people want to know specifically about their marketplace. Sometimes they're listening to like the CBS Evening News that's talking about like nationally what's happening, which obviously is not what's happening directly in our marketplace. So sometimes it's a good question to say, well, what are you hearing? Or what market are you wondering about? And just be aware. Or just a longer answer. Like I like to give a longer answer and then see how people respond. So I kind of, you know, this is an example, you know, this year was busy. Spring was wild in the seller's market, but it's slowing down. There's more inventory. Things are taking longer to sell. What are you hearing, or what are you thinking? And I think it's just show them that you know what's going on. And then the next question that people ask here is, well, how do I know what to say? Like, how do I know what's going on? This is where I'm going to get on my soapbox and tell you guys that if you come to the Briggs Freeman meetings, if you come to the Monday morning meeting, if you go to the meetings that are happening in your office, we are putting that information in front of you and giving you like talking points and bullets at every meeting. So if you come to that, you will be generally educated just by what we're sharing with you. There are other places that you can read and study. Inman News is a great source of what's happening in the real estate industry. It's not so much market news, but like industry news, although there is some market information. It's a subscription. I think it's like $70 a year. Keeping Current Matters is another one. And sometimes you see agents posting stuff they see in Keeping Current Matters. The Fort Worth paper has a real estate section. If you follow on social media, the National Association of Realtors, your local association, like you're going to get market updates. Some of this is work, right? Like it's garbage in, garbage out. Like you're only going to be able to share what you've consumed. So there is a bit of work and time to you guys educating yourself and being the experts. You need to go on tour and see what's sold in the marketplace. So even if you don't have a buyer for what's on, I know Fort Worth agents tour on Tuesday, Dallas agents usually tour on Monday. Even if you don't have a buyer for whatever's on tour, it is a good idea for you to go on tour. You're supporting your fellow agent. And when you have a listing, you want them to show up for you, right? But also when that property eventually sells, you'll be able to have it in your mind like, oh, well, that property was weird because the master was upstairs, or the closets were tiny, or it backed up to a busy street, right? Things that you're not going to be able to tell if you're just looking at comps in the MLS. So I encourage you to go on tour to learn the market. And, you know, to help other agents, and because you're going to want help when you have listings. And then, you know, Briggs Freeman also does monthly market moves, which you can share, but also it can help you understand like So you have to be an expert on the market and on the technicalities of real estate to excel as an agent. There's just no faking it. And we can put it in front of you at these meetings, but you have to come to the meetings and you have to study a little bit yourself. Does anyone have comments here, thoughts, questions, suggestions?
I do have a question.
Yeah.
What was the source you mentioned before Keeping Current Matters?
It's called Inman, INMAN, Inman News. The other thing that's important for you guys to come to these meetings is right now in the industry with these lawsuits, there's a lot of change and there's a lot of discussion, and we're working really hard to make sure that you guys get an update about what's going on in the lawsuits, that when someone asks you, you are knowledgeable. And also it's changing the way you visit with your clients. It shouldn't be changing it because we should have been doing it right all along, but we're trying to give you guys talking points to like address these things. So many agents have said when they bring it up with their client, the client is very appreciative because they want to ask, but not all of them do. And it just makes you look like a professional, like you're being upfront, like you know what's going on in the marketplace, like you know how to handle it. You guys are like professional people and just a cut above what I would say our general industry population is, not to be disrespectful, but it's because you're here taking time, investing to make yourselves really good at what you do, right? Questions? Inman's got a lot of good information about that as well. And then we try at every meeting to give you guys an update and some talking points. If anyone who's been around a while wants to share feedback about how we do it, like, or what's worked for you, I would love that. Questions about this one? Just educate yourself on the market because people are going to ask you and you need to not be like, oh, it's busy. Like, that's not a good answer. Okay. So the next one is create a marketing plan. And this is what this looks like. You do not have to have a huge budget. You just need to know, like, these are the things I'm going to be doing. I'm going to take 2 people to lunch I'm going to do 1 business lunch every week. I'm going to do my 50 calls from Ninja, my 50 conversations. I'm going to write notes. I'm going to post something on social media once a week. Literally, that was my plan last year when I was like, I want to get 6 real estate referrals. Was I'm going to post once a week on social media personally, because I'm super private and I just don't. And I'm going to post once a week about something work related, just to remind people that this is what I do. And I'm going to send out those campaigns and just doing those really easy, cheap things, free things. I was able to hit my goal of making the referrals. So these things work. You just have to be intentional. So you got to create a marketing plan for yourself and figure out what are your activities? How are you going to spend your time? What are you doing? We have a class called Build a Marketing Plan on Any Budget that Catherine and Sherry teach. And you need to take that class. You need to be organized before you sit down and ask to spend time with these ladies so that you can be intentional. Like, you don't have to have your database done, but you kind of need to know who your sphere is. So that's an important piece.
Serene,
Yeah.
Why do some agents have websites and some don't? And what's the benefit to have one or not? Like Lee Calvert spends $3,000 a month.
Yeah.
Like,
it's a great question. And so here's the thing about websites is that in order for a website to be effective, you have to be able to drive traffic to it. And then you have to be able to capture the leads from it. And if it's your plan to have your own, to spend the money to build your own website, then you need to figure out what are you going to do to drive traffic to that website, right? If you are a very prolific YouTube creator and you want those things to go to your website, like, that's fine. That's a strategy. I would say for Briggs Freeman agents, because you have a beautiful page on briggsfreeman.com and you have a beautiful page on sotheby's.com, there's no chance that you're going to be able to outspend what Briggs Freeman and Sotheby's are doing to drive traffic to the website. It's really unnecessary. Now, you may want to buy, troyfrancis.com, but you don't have to pay to build a website for troyfrancis.com. You can just point it to your Briggs Freeman or your Sotheby's agent page. And those are beautiful pages. And if you just spend a little bit of time making your personal pages on our website look good, I think that makes the most sense. Now, of course, there are agents like Lee or mega producers who do have their own website and do spend the money feeding it and have a digital marketing strategist who are figuring out how to help them maximize it. I don't think that that's necessary for the majority of agents. Does that help?
Yeah, is it more like, okay, if you make, 20 million in business, okay, think about doing a website, and if you're making less than 5 million, it's not worth it? Is that how you're thinking?
Something
Or
went wrong.
No, it's a good question, and I don't think that's true. I mean, we have an agent who was one of our mega top producers last year, and she doesn't have, I mean, she doesn't have her own website. All she does is social media marketing and hosting client appreciation events. Like that's her things. She doesn't do open houses, she doesn't have a website, she's not spending money on digital marketing, she doesn't buy ads. Like you're gonna have to figure out what works for your business. I definitely, if you're not producing on a higher level on a consistent basis, I would not spend the money on your own website. It's a drag on your human resources, your time, and it's a drag on your financial resources, where I think both of those things could be better spent. Because again, to drive traffic to a website costs money.
okay,
I don't think it's necessary. Just because it worked for someone else doesn't mean that it works for you. There is an element when you're building your business of figuring out like what's working for me, what does that do? And we do that in business planning. We look backwards at our transactions that I call it a transaction audit, and we see where did this business actually come from? So that if you have 6 deals this year and you look back and you see, man, every single one of these started at the country club or started for my kids' PTA or whatever, then you have to see, okay, what I'm doing there is really working, and you go from there. Right now, if you're just building, that's harder to tell. OTOP might be helpful for you since you've been in the business for a long time to pull all your past transactions and look and see where did those deals really come from. We can talk about that afterwards. Okay. So we've talked about the first 4. The next one is to, create a schedule for executing what your business and marketing activities are. Like I said, when I transitioned to real estate, it was really hard for me because I was used to like needing to be at the desk for 12 hours a day. And that's not what real estate looks like. If you're at your desk for 12 hours a day in real estate, you are not busy because you need to be out and about with people and connecting with people, and sitting at your desk is not, obviously there's going to be times you need to sit at your desk and put your nose down and work. But what Ninja says is work on your business in the morning and work in your business in the afternoon. And what they mean is get up, do your gratitudes, do your affirmations, write your notes, do your lead generation things, do your weekly communication with your sellers in the morning, typically. And then in the afternoon, you're free to go and be out and about and show houses. Because generally speaking, that's how it works. It's not going to work like that every day, but that's the Ninja idea, is on your business in the morning, in your business in the afternoon. So you got to figure out how to manage your time when you're in real estate. It's very easy as a realtor to just play whack-a-mole and like whatever pops up, just go do it and not have a whole lot of organization to your day. I encourage you guys, if you're just getting started, to not build your business that way and like be intentional about your schedule. It's okay to have boundaries, and set some time and let people know like when you're available. I know that's really hard for agents because you want to be available all the time, but if you have a dentist appointment and someone wants to schedule their inspection, then it's okay to be like, I have an appointment then. Or even if you have scheduled yourself to go to the gym and there's a class you want to take, it's okay to be like, I'm not available then, I have an appointment. Could we do it, the day before or later that afternoon or whatever? It's fine. You don't have to tell people like, I'm going to the gym, but you can, just be intentional with your time. It's okay. So this is, you guys have also probably all seen this from me before. This is the urgent and important matrix from the Eisenhower matrix is what it's called. And basically, I wish I had this tool when I first got into the business. It's a way to think about your time, right? There's things that are urgent and important that you need to do personally that have to be done right now, right? Like if you have buyers in from out of town, you need to do that. That's urgent and important. If there's a multiple offers happening and you need to write the offer, that's urgent and important. You need to do it. You could actually delegate that out to our transaction coordinator now, but you still have to give her the information to do. There's certain things that you have to do, urgent and important. You have to address those. The most important square here, I would say, are the things that are important, but not urgent. And these are typically your like business generating activities, right? And these are the things you have to schedule. Otherwise they fall off, right? Like exercise. If I have a really busy day and I fill it up, if I haven't like blocked out the time to do my workout, then it's not going to happen. So you have to schedule the things that are important to you and work around them. Like writing your notes, like making your phone calls. If you, on a weekly basis, you should update every client you have on what's happened with their listing. But if you don't schedule that, it's not like they're going to be waiting for it necessarily. It's not like, these are the things that are important to the success of your business, but no one's on the receiving end waiting for them to happen. Like real estate reviews are great. It's not something that has a deadline that someone has demanded and expect, but you need to schedule the time to get those done. So, things that are urgent and not important should be delegated, right? There's certain social media things, delivering deliveries, like, even transaction coordination, right? Can be delegated now to Casey, and she's amazing. So, there's things you can delegate out, like meal prep and household tasks, things like that. Just they need to get done on a timely basis, but you personally don't necessarily do it. And then there's things that are just like a waste of time, right? I had a friend, I went to lunch with her a while ago, and she told me that she'll stay up on watching TikToks until 2 a.m. And this is like a productive woman who like is an executive at a company with like 2 little kids. And I'm like, why are you watching TikTok? Like delete it, right? Like, anyway. So this is just a great way to think about your time when something comes up. Is this important to me that I do it, or is this something that can be delegated? And is this really urgent? Like I said, there's a lot of whack-a-mole that happens as an agent as things get thrown at you, and it's okay to have a calendar and stick to it and be professional and be like, I had an agent, a very high producing agent, say that COVID really helped her realize that like, I don't need to be there. She would, like, if someone was like, oh, well, there's an inspection happening, they're trying to schedule an inspection for a buyer, and on Wednesday she couldn't make it, but on Thursday she could. She was comfortable with them saying like, I can't be there physically on Wednesday, but you could call me and I could walk through it in the inspection with you. If you want me to be there physically, we would have to do it Thursday. And it's like, okay to have those boundaries. So tips for owning your time: plan your personal time first, put it on the calendar, work without distraction, classify your tasks and to do, right? Is this urgent and important? Like, how does this need to fit into my calendar? Create a weekly calendar for yourself so you have some structure and routine. And then make sure you're prepping yourself on a weekly and a daily basis. I'm trying to teach our 13-year-old this right now of like, what needs to happen this week and what is happening tomorrow. So I don't forget my tennis racket and I don't forget my band shirt. And these are all things we've forgotten in the past week. So they're fresh in my mind. I'm trying to teach her these like executive functioning skills of create a weekly calendar, check in with yourself every day. Then we should be checking with ourselves every month and every quarter. It's like having some structure. And then keep your commitments to yourself, right? If you put that workout on your calendar, like have a boundary, it's okay. Unless something super urgent and important turns up at that time, try to keep that on the schedule. So here's a sample week where you could kind of start. Like, obviously we usually have a Monday morning meeting, then we tour after, and then there's these classes. So these are things are on your calendar. You could put on your calendar now and try to work around, right? In Fort Worth, obviously it would be Coffee and Connect at 10, not over here, but figure out what your week looks like and kind of build yourself a shell, right? If you have carpool pickup every day at 3, just block that time out, right? If that's something that you have to do, if you can delegate it, great, but just build yourself your shell so you can figure out like, what time do you have to work in? Questions about this? Calendar the important dates you need to plan around first: daily tasks, birthdays, weddings, blah, blah, blah. Okay, working without distraction. Come to the office when you can. I think this is super, super important. I think one of the greatest things we have going, probably the greatest thing at Briggs Freeman, is our team and our collaboration. Both the team on the staff side, but also the agents around you are really, really good. And networking with them and learning from them and just hearing them talk is super helpful. So come to the office when you can, come to the meetings. Like, I also think you might be more productive sitting in an office surrounded by other people working than like maybe at home. That's not true for everyone, but I think it's important. Classify your tasks and projects and keep your lists going. Schedule your time, do your weekly review, and then do a mini review every day. And then this is what a class might look like. So it's like, okay, I'm going to go to the office on Monday afternoons, Tuesdays, Wednesday's going to be my personal day where I'm going to have appointments. I'm not going to plan to go to the office that day. Just figure out what it looks like. And then, figure out, and this is from a time blocking class, some of these slides, so we're not going to get too far into them, but figure out what does this really need to look like, right? And then you kind of have a weekly plan of when I'm gonna be doing what, like I'm gonna drop off at school every day, then I'm gonna go and I'm gonna write my notes and just come up with a mini schedule for yourself and try to stick to it. So then the next question is, how do you keep track of your tasks, right? I use, I'm an Outlook like power user. Any of you who have ever scheduled anything with me know you're immediately going to get a calendar invite. And Outlook has a task program that is called To Do. You can actually log into it and use it. There's a great app on the phone. You can flag emails and it automatically puts it on your to-do list. So I use Outlook To Do, but I also keep a handwritten like daily list of like my top things that need to be done. That's my process. Some people use iPhone notes, some people use Post-its, some people use the good old fashioned day planner. Some people like the Ninja planner, they love it. If they've gone to Ninja. So you just have to figure out what works for you to keep track of everything, because there's lots of balls in the air when you start getting busy in real estate. Does anyone have questions about this? Just figure out what is your process for keeping track of everything. There's
wish
all,
we-
go ahead.
I wish we had something like a time scheduling for like how to grow your business, and then versus how to become a better realtor, things that are like necessary but not as important as, you know, other things.
Well,
Does
you
that-
have to figure out what, you have to go back to that business activities list and figure out what are the things you're gonna work on, right?
Yeah.
And then you can build that of what does my day look like,
Yeah.
right? You have to figure out, because it's gonna be different for everyone, what they're gonna do. But I hear you, yes, I wish there was like a recipe. There's some element of this being specific to everyone, for sure. But see, ReachOut also has a daily calendar that you can use, and it tells you like what's upcoming today.
Yeah.
Okay, so then, you know, the previous slide we had was this one. And then showing like, these are the scheduled things I'm gonna do, my business and marketing activities. And then this shows you all the times you have for being out and about in your business. So this is aspirational, right? Like, but as you start working in your calendar, it might start to look like that a little bit more organized. Okay, so then the last thing is, you know, execute my plan consistently. And this is kind of probably the hardest piece, but think about your urgent and important matrix and think about what your business really needs to look like. OTOP for you, it might be like, okay, these are if I want to build my business, these are the things I'm going to commit to. Obviously, you can't commit to everything. So you might be like, okay, I just want in March, I want to get my database squared away. I'm going to spend 30 minutes a day, you know, every morning after I do X, Y, and Z working on that, and just get it scheduled, get it done. And then you can kind of focus on the next thing, or like, these are the 4 things I'm going to do. I'm going to do database. I'm going to start doing a lunch once a week. I want to do 2 real estate reviews, and just schedule those things and start getting them done. I know this probably feels and sounds overwhelming, but it's going to work out for you. You just have to figure out overall, you know, what are your goals and how do I get there? Does that make sense? I don't want you guys to feel overwhelmed after this class. I want you to feel like at least I have some ideas of what to do. Lindsay says I have to work on time management and boundaries. This is like the age-old realtor challenge. So we are not alone. It's really hard, but I think it's okay for people. It's okay to have boundaries. It's hard for agents to execute that, but it's okay. You can still be a professional and you can still give people excellent service while having a boundary. You don't have to answer your phone every time it rings. And that sounds bad, but here's why. Like, my phone has rang during this class and I have automatic responses that say, I'm in a meeting right now and I can't talk, text me. And they can text me and I can look at it and see it. Oh, is this a 911 and I need to step out and go address it? Or can this wait? Or can I text them back and answer right now and not have to I didn't have to stop and pick up the phone, right? Sometimes you just can't. So I have changed the auto responses on my phone, and that has been like a game changer for me too. She says it's hard to say no and you can't. And I understand that, but it's okay to figure out what your priorities are. Sometimes saying no is going to be better for you in the long run, obviously. if you're organized and you have your boundaries and you're keeping your eye on the prize, you're gonna be more likely to get there than just saying yes and doing whack-a-mole all the time, right? So, one final thought, I heard this once, is that like I'll tell you the story. So your success depends on you guys, right? And I don't want you to feel overwhelmed, like how hard you work and whether you show up and do all of these things, like that depends on you. But at the same time, like you're not alone in building your business, right? Like there's, if you have, Briggs Freeman has amazing people, make friends at the office, have a support team, build a team around you, like your marketing person, your manager, me, your favorite title person, your favorite lender. Ask questions and learn from those people around you. Like the lenders we have, like this is Michael Ashton and Buck's contact information. They're fantastic. They will help you on any deal. It doesn't have to be their own deal, but you need to know like who your experts are and who you can call at any time to help you. Randy's the same way in title. He is awesome. So these are all their cell phones, like save them and you can text or call them anytime, or you can text or call me anytime or your manager. And so then I heard the story, people pray to have a cake, right? And the universe gives them, sugar and flour and eggs and oil and icing and a pan and an oven and all of the things, but they walk into the kitchen and they don't see a cake. And so they're angry. And it's like, you have all the right ingredients here. You just have to do the work to put it together. So I don't want you guys to feel overwhelmed after this class. Hopefully it gave you like some ideas. If you want to talk about anything or work on building a plan, I'm always happy to do that with you. Your manager is always happy to do that to you. Like if you're active and engaged and you want help, like we want to help you. So hats off to all of you guys for being here. Does anyone have questions, thoughts? Need to go back to a slide or anything they want to talk about? Nothing? Okay. Well, if you need anything, call me, text me. Nicholas, you got something? Not really? Okay. All right. Well, that's all we have today.
Thank you.
No, thanks for coming. If there's anything I can do to help, just give me a call and I will see you guys soon, hopefully.